So hello everybody, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my show and tell from February and March. Y'all, I'm trying a different format for this show and tell because I was just not in the mood to go face on this morning. I don't know why, but we're just gonna try a little show and tell this way. You'll get to see all this stuff a little bit better and I can just chill in my pajamas because that's the mood I was in. Welcome to Self-Care Show and Tell. So if you are new to this video, this is essentially my opportunity to literally just chat about things I've been enjoying lately. There's going to be a lot of nail polish because I've got 2 months worth of colors to show you. But just beauty stuff, but also we're going to talk decks and books and all of that sort of thing. So there will be lots of things to look at and ogle, and where possible, I will have links to anything I talk about down below. That is just to make it easy for you guys to find it, but usually my Amazon links are affiliate links, just as an FYI. So are my book depository links. Anything else is usually just a straight link, and those just help support the channel. So it's not, don't ever feel any pressure to click those, but they're there for you if you want to. Okay, so with that said, let me talk about some stuff that's been happening. I feel like I've had a lot on my plate in the last couple of months, and so I've been feeling kind of not burnt out, for sure, definitely not burnt out, but more like just loaded up. Like, I feel like my plate has been very full. So I have not had a lot of like other things to sort of distract from that in the last couple of months. So there hasn't been a ton of like adventures or like really exciting things to report. However, Peggy and I just got concert tickets. Now, this is notable because we haven't been to a concert in probably well over a decade. I'm pretty sure our last concert would have been Pentatonics. And before that, we saw Lorena McKenna in concert, which was incredible. By the way, if you ever get a chance to see her, incredible. We've seen Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. I'm trying to see who else. We've seen Pentatonics twice. But generally speaking, we don't go to concerts or shows very often at all. But there is a Canadian artist who I am obsessed with. Peggy is obsessed with. Peggy actually introduced me to her when we were first getting together. And this is where I get all sappy and crap because this artist, I'm going to throw some thumbnails and stuff on the screen of some of her albums or something just to see a visual interest. But she had only like a few albums. Her original title album, Amanda Marshall. Then she had Tuesday's Child and Everybody's Got a Story. I am obsessed with all of her music. She stopped making new music around the early 2000s, so like 2001, 2003 or something was the date of her last album. But Peggy would sing these songs to me. We would sing them to each other. Sappy bonding stuff, right? Early in our relationship. Love, love, love the music, okay? My favorite tracks, if I was going to recommend some, would be Everybody's Got a Story, Dark Horse, love Double Agent, love, oh my God, there's so many songs of hers I love. But I think the only song of all of her music that ever charted at all in the USA is Birmingham, which of course, because it's named after a US city. But none of her other songs, as far as I know, were ever played or charted at least in the US. So anyways, Amanda Marshall is doing a comeback tour and releasing a new album for the first time in like 20 years, which is insanely exciting. So she's coming to Vancouver. We've got tickets, we've got good tickets, and I am stoked. So that is happening in July. That's probably the most exciting sort of like memory related thing that I have to share from February and March. Let's talk about some YouTubey things because there is several things I want to shout out and share that were just a lot of fun. As always, any of the streams that I do with my friends Danny and Dustin over on our collab channel, which is called 3 Fat Readers, is always a favorite. So there's a couple videos or streams over there that you can watch back if you're behind. I will link both of those in the description box for you down below, but we always have a really, really good time. And our last one was actually a Q&A, and it was a blast. We had so many more questions than we could possibly cover in the stream, but it was so much fun to get into all of those varying topics, and we'll have to think about maybe doing a part 2 or something to try to get to more questions, but it was so much fun. So that was a blast. I also wanted to shout out the February Deck Crush tag. So this was a tag that was started. I just kind of like got to hop on with both Dawn Michelle and Marlena Teresa, who really did the bulk of the work around the tag. I just got to be like a hanger-on. But the three of us released the Deck Crush tag videos right around Valentine's Day, and it was just really fun to talk about these different categories. I will link the playlist for Deck Crush down below if you didn't see those and you want to see us talk about the decks that we have different types of relationships with, because that was a ton of fun. I also want to shout out a couple of other things. So Marlena Teresa actually kicked off a deck and walk for 2023 that I have jumped into. I'm kind of following along in a very very light way. Like I'm taking it real like slow and gentle with myself on it. But the deck and walk is pretty exciting, and I am excited to be doing it with some friends. We are just basically following each Decan as they go from the first one, Aries 1, which began in March, near the, like right around the spring equinox. Maybe it was actually on the spring equinox. I think it's on the spring equinox. Shows how much I know. And then we're following it, kind of just paying attention to the energy of each Decan as we go through, pulling cards that are associated, that sort of thing. But Marlena has those videos on her channel, and there's also posts going up in Dawn Michelle's Facebook group, which is Boho Tarot. So I will try to have links to relevant things about the Decan Walk down below. It's open to anybody who wants to join along, and if that's something that interests you, I definitely recommend you check it out. Marlena is really doing a good job at sort of creating a Decan Walk foundation that's not overwhelming. It's not like a ton of heavy esoteric information. It's kind of approachable, really easy to follow. So I will link you to her first video to get you started. And then I'll have a link to Dawn Michelle's Facebook group down below also, so you can follow along with any posts there. The other thing I wanted to highlight was Kellyanne Maddox recently uploaded a video called 10 Witchcraft Principles for a Powerful Magical Practice. This was an incredible video it is literally jam-packed from beginning to end with just a ton of amazing tips for just empowering yourself through a witchy practice. If that interests you even a little bit, I definitely recommend you go check out Kellyanne's most recent video. It's really good. Well, it's most recent at the time I'm filming this, so there may be another one, but I will link the exact video down below. I also want to highlight a few channels that I've discovered that have just been making me really, really happy. The first one, I guess this is a channel I was always aware of but never really utilized, and that is Lo-Fi Girl. I realize I'm really like late to the lo-fi party. I feel like this has been a thing for a long, long time. But lo-fi tracks, and in particular the playlist on Lo-Fi Girls, or the live streams that are going on Lo-Fi Girls channel, for some reason they hit this exact sweet spot of being really like inspiring music that just makes me feel like I can check out of the world. And that's been really helpful when I'm trying to work on my writing projects. So I can just literally put on Lo-Fi Girl, and I feel like it's so much easier to focus on whatever work I'm doing, because none of the songs end up, sometimes I tune into other lo-fi sort of channels or playlists or whatever, and the songs start to sound familiar to me, and that is actually distracting. I like it when the songs don't sound too familiar, even if they're based on familiar tracks. I like it to be just kind of gritty enough that I don't recognize the song, because that's what I find I have the easiest time focusing with. So Lo-Fi Girl, if you don't know about it, it's basically lo-fi tracks. I had to Google what this was. I have no idea. It's instrumental tracks with like the lo-fi is like little bits of almost like scratchy record sounds, that like a little fuzz, a little noise that's in addition to the music. And it just, I don't know, it takes me to a place that's just really, really useful. So I definitely wanted to shout that out. And then I also wanted to shout out a channel I discovered, I think in February, called The Measured Tarot. This channel and content creator, makes my nerdy tarot heart so incredibly happy. Her videos are literally like, she uses actual measuring tools and like objective ways of gauging like cardstock and like how flexible it is, and like the height of a deck, the thickness of a tarot card in that deck. It is like all the geeky, nerdy tarot stats you want. Now she's only got, I think, a handful of videos up so far, but oh my gosh, I watched every single one. I found it so, so helpful. And in fact, it was intensely helpful when I was considering whether or not I was going to pick up the Rainbow Heart Tarot, the pocket edition. I knew, because of her video, I knew exactly what I was getting when that deck came in. So I wasn't surprised when the deck felt a little stiff. I wasn't surprised when I felt like it couldn't riffle shuffle very well, but I knew that, and I was able to make a really informed decision about purchasing that deck because of that video. And if I thought that it would be deal breaker stuff, I would have known, and then I wouldn't have needed to buy that deck. So just as a heads up, I just think it's a great channel. You should check it out. I feel like I've heard nobody talking about it yet, so go subscribe if that's the kind of thing that floats your boat. The next thing that I want to talk about, okay, so I don't really have a category to talk about music, but I went down the sort of TikTok rabbit hole in the last couple of months, just watching. I'm not making TikToks yet. I don't know if I will, but I've been really enjoying watching TikTok, and through TikTok, I discovered another Canadian artist, musician. Her name is singer. Her name is Jamie Fine, and she released a brand new song in March that is like living full-time rent-free in my brain, called If Anything's Left. It is so, so good. I will link her live performance video of this song in the description box down below. Because of this song, I've been listening to that song a lot, and I've also been playing a bunch of her other music. So I've really been enjoying her vibe. She's got some sass. I'm really digging the lyrics to her songs. I'm just really enjoying it. So check that out. And that brings us to TV and movies. There's a few shows I've been obviously really enjoying. It will come as no surprise to anybody who's watching this channel that I just recently finished a full seven season Buffy the Vampire Slayer rewatch. This show gives me life. I'm almost ready to just start it all over again because I just love it so much. So I've really been enjoying that. I've also been watching some episodes of Angel. That's been also really enjoyable. Peggy and I just finished the Wednesday Netflix series, and we're still working our way through the series on Netflix called Ancient Apocalypse, which is fascinating and has been really fun. That was a recommendation I got from Dustin at Modern Metaphysicae, but we've been really enjoying that show. It's time to talk about beauty things, and I have like a handful of things, but a lot of nail polish to talk about. So sorry, you're welcome. I don't know. The first thing I actually wanted to talk about related to my nails, just in case this was helpful to anybody, is I thought I would go do a quick little walkthrough of like my manicure kit in case anything in there is helpful to anybody who does their own nails. So I'm gonna bring it on camera. This is it. So this is a little tray that lives on a bathroom shelf, and I just pull this down when I'm ready to do my nails each time, and I pick whatever color nail polish I'm going to use. This may seem like such a silly thing, but this makes doing my nails so convenient because everything I need is right here. The only thing missing, let me grab it. The only thing missing from this is my nail polish remover. I don't pull this out. I usually take my nails off in the bathroom, like my nail polish off in the bathroom. So this doesn't come out with me, but this is just one of those type of polish remover bottles that has this little push down part on the top. So you can just take your cotton pad, push it down a few times to pull up some polish remover. I do make my own nail polish remover because I really like a nail polish remover that's very strong, but very moisturizing. So I make my own blend. So I'll talk about that real quick in case you're curious. I eyeball it, but I buy 100% pure acetone from the drugstore, and I basically fill the bottle up like almost all the way with pure acetone. And this sounds like it's going to be really harsh. It is really strong, and it will dry your nails a bit. But then what I do is I add a little bit of vegetable glycerin, and again, I eyeball it. I just drizzle some into the bottle. And glycerin is water soluble. It won't actually mix with your acetone nail polish, pure acetone, without water. It needs a tiny bit of water in order for that to mix up properly. Otherwise, your glycerin will just kind of float around at the bottom of the bottle. So I basically drizzle in some vegetable glycerin, and then I put in maybe a couple teaspoons of water, not a lot. So it does dilute the mixture ever so slightly, but I put that in so that the glycerin will mix into the stuff. And as you can see, I've got no floating glycerin. Well, I don't know if you can see it, but there's no floating glycerin bits in there. And then I also drizzle in a little bit of vitamin E oil. I think that's it. Is that it? Yeah, water, glycerin, vitamin E, and then the pure acetone. And it's really bizarre because it actually takes the nail polish off very, very, very quickly and effectively. I usually get one cotton pad that does all 10 of my nails, and it doesn't leave my cuticles feeling like white. Like, I don't know if you've ever, when you use nail polish remover, really strong stuff, you finish and your cuticles are all white and crusty looking, right? This doesn't do that. So make my own nail polish remover. In this kit, so I have my cotton rounds here. Then I have some little alcohol swabs. So these are just those little individual things. You can get them online or whatever. And I just swab all 10 of my nails after I've removed my polish with a little alcohol. That just strips any like lingering oils that might be on my nail bed so that my nail polish will adhere better. Then I go in with just any base coat, usually some kind of nail strengthening or Healthy Nails base coat. I'm using this one right now because I got it. It smells really good. It's by Cuticula. And I don't know what they call it, just their mic drop base coat, and they sent these, so that's kind of nice. And the scent of this one is Champagne Toast, and I got this through Polish Pickup. It's just a basic base coat, but I want something to basically protect my nails. And because I'm extra, I then go in with a sort of sticky base coat. So this is to help the polish stick to my nails better. This is Orly Bonder, and it literally it smells so nostalgic. I swear it smells like rubber cement to me. Yeah, it smells a little bit like rubber cement. I don't know how to describe it, but it literally goes on. I put this on top of this base coat, and it just creates a slightly sticky surface for my nails. So I do that next. Then I do 2 coats of whatever my polish color is, or if it's like a jelly, like this one's a jelly, I might do 3 coats. And then I go on with a top coat. I really like Sèche Vite, but any really glossy, fast drying top coat. This is a top coat that gets really thick when you get to about the point in the bottle I'm at. And so I do have these like refresher drops that basically, it's a nail polish thinner. It'll just basically loosen it up a little bit so it's got a better consistency again. But I haven't needed to use it yet, and I'm like definitely more than halfway through this particular bottle. So that's good. And then I have one of these little mini jam jars. This, I just always put a little bit of my nail polish remover in so that I can, when I'm painting my nails, I keep this open like this. You can see it's like all kind of rusty in the lid, but what I do is I have in here this nail polish cleanup pen, brush, whatever. I got this from Holo Taco. Mine's a little bit messy, but it's got this tiny, tiny little brush on the top, which has held up really well. And I just dip it in the nail polish remover, and then I can clean up around the edges of my nails. That's basically what this does. Love that. I have in here, I should close that up so I don't have an accident. And then I have a 4-way block. I just buff and smooth my nails before I do anything with them. I have in here some toe separators. These are actually yogi toes. They're not the like cheapy dollar store toe separators, but I can wear these for quite a long time because they're meant to be worn to spread your toes. So if I do my toes, which I don't do very often, I use those. And then I have a few other little tools in here. So I have a glass nail file. I have this cuticle pusher, which I think I also got. Oh, I got this one from Polish Pickup, but it basically is shaped to your nail. You have to be very gentle with this because it can scrape your nail, but it helps me to push my cuticles back. And then it's got this little end, which is perfect for my last couple of fingers here, usually just my pinky. This is a much softer cuticle pusher I have. So it's got this kind of rubberized base end. I don't feel like we're focused. There we go. It's got this like rubberized base on it, so you can push. This is what I use if I'm using a cuticle remover, just to be gentler, so I'm not scraping at anything. And then I also got these. These are kind of dumb, actually, but I got them on Amazon. There's like a little 10-pack or something, but they're like glass nail files, but they've got like a very, very pointy, sharp end, which really easily breaks and dulls. And then a kind of cuticle pusher end. I use these if I need to very, very gently, like sort of file dry cuticle bits that are around or like in really, really delicate little spaces, just to kind of get little bits of that off. But it's really sharp. I don't know. This is kind of like one of those frivolous things that I don't use a ton, but when I want it, I want it. And then the last thing I have in here is a couple of different magnets for when I'm using magnetized nail polish. So this one this is the kind you'll usually get if you buy a magnetized nail polish. And then this one I got from Polish Pickup. It's got a rare earth magnet, separate. So you have this like little cradle thing, and you can set the magnet up and turn it at like whatever direction, you want it. And then you literally set it on your table and you can slide your nail underneath it, which I like so that I won't accidentally bump, right? Because when you're holding a magnet over your polish to try to do it, you can accidentally touch. I haven't yet, but it makes me nervous. So I have these two just kind of like hanging out in here for use. I have to keep it separate from my other tools or my other tools will start to magnetize to it. So I keep that kind of on that end, and then throw this other stuff in around. So that's my little manicure kit, just in case you were curious. I don't know if I'll leave this in the video. We'll see. But I just thought it might be helpful. But I can just take this out with me wherever I'm going to be working on my nails, and everything's there, and I like it. So I thought I would show it. Now that we're talking about nails, let's talk about nail polish. I wore a lot in the last couple of months, so I have many to show. I don't know why I have so many. I usually only paint my nails once a week, but for some reason I guess, let's see, is there 8 here? 4, 8, I have more than 8. Oh, because there's a topper. Okay, well, anyways, we'll talk about it. So, this is an oily polish that I wore called, oh gosh, I should have worn my glasses for this, Mystic Maven. I am always on the search for this kind of color, like a cross between pink and purple, kind of like a mauve-y, orchidy color. I don't know, it's my favorite color. So I wore that. I also wore, let's do the less exciting ones first. Okay, I also wore, this polish is so old. I feel like I talked about this in my last favorites, but it's called Sage is Just a Number, and it's a Sephora by OPI. I feel like I already covered this, so if this is a repeat, sorry. But it's a really cool duochrome that Peggy picked out for me a long time ago, and it kind of goes this like green to sage kind of cool shift. Neat. I also wore, well, I'll talk about the one I'm wearing right now. So this is from Polish Pickup. This is called What, Like It's Hard, and it is a thermal polish. So it's this color kind of at room temperature, but when my skin gets warm, the base gets a lot lighter, like almost white. And it's a really pretty, like kind of jelly, multi-dimensional. It's really pretty. I like it. There's a lot of like little glitters in here. It's really pretty. I got some more of the Mooncat. Oh my gosh, totally blanking. So some new Mooncat polishes. There was 4 that I wore. So I wore this one. This is so fun. This is called Alien Invasion. So if you saw me with a really metallic green blue polish, that was this one. It is really dynamic, really pretty. It's like a showstopper for real. It's so gorgeous. And then this one, this is so pretty. This is called Mercury's Tears. It's also very duochromy. It's got like seafoam green and blue and purple. It's really hard to describe, but it's gorgeous. And I'm going to hold that up next to my other really watery one. So this one is called Mermaid Bait. Oh my gosh, the amount of shimmer like in these. Let me just see if I can show you without spilling nail polish everywhere. Let's see. Let's see if we can stay focused up here. See if I can just show you like how dynamic. Oh, I'm gonna make a mess. I'm gonna put it away. I'm scared. But I really love these. There's something just really shifty and shimmery and ethereal about this finish. It's almost like foily, metallic-y, sparkly. I don't even know. I don't have any other polishes that feel quite like this. And it was really the same with Alien Invasion, but you can see the Alien Invasion it's smoother, it's less shimmery. I don't know. If you're a nail polish geek, then you know. And this one I was just wearing last week. This is such a pretty color. It's really unique. It's like a gray lavender duochrome. So this is actually from their Goddess collection called Artemis Death Kiss. It's really beautiful. So it's very light lavender to gray. Hopefully I can show the shimmer or the shift there. But you can kind of see it goes to this like really purpley color or dead on, and in certain types of light it looks like just like a pale gray. It's really unique and super pretty. And that brings us to the last few. So this Sassy Sauce polish, I've worn this before. I love this. This is called Wet Spot, and it's again a really shimmery, duochromy, shifty. It goes like red to green to blue. It depends on the light. You can really see the red in this lighting, but it's from a distance you might see more of no, it's not shifting to the other color, but it's very sort of green gold to red. Really cool. And then these two, I'm pretty sure these are the ones I wore together. I'm pretty sure. So this is called Even Miracles Take a Little Time. Oh, this was also a polish pickup. This is by JM Fair Maiden. Or no, it's not JM. I'm an idiot. It's an FM and it says Fair Maiden. So this is what the polish looks like up close. And Even Miracles Take a Little Time. It's so pretty. So it's so funny because I talk about, well, I'll babble about that in a second. This is a topper I got from Holo Taco, and it is their flaky Holo Taco. And I layered these two together, and it was a really gorgeous effect. At least I think these are the ones I layered. I can't remember now. It might have actually been this one over this Orly polish. I now can't remember anymore. Anyway, babbling. Because I talk about nail polish so much, I get contacted from these like gel nail companies all the time. It's actually a little obnoxious because I don't wear gel polish. Gel polish takes forever to get off. I really like to be able to change my colors all the time. Gel polish, not a thing. It's slow. You have to cure it. I'm not into it. So, but I do get a lot of contacts from gel nail companies, which is hilarious because like this is a tarot channel. Yeah, like I like babbling about it in show and tell, but you know. Few other beauty related things and then I will move on, I swear. So eyeshadow wise, I was really enjoying working with this palette that I put together. So this is a combination of eyeshadows from Makeup Geek, who has gone out of business. I think she's going to launch a new makeup brand. She's been really active on YouTube lately, Marlena Estelle. So keep an eye out because her formulas are really beautiful. Her mattes are incredible. So all these square pans are all Makeup Geek square pans, and they are incredible. These foiled ones are really gorgeous. I set this up so that I could basically wear, they're organized by color family. So I can pick any of these columns and make a gorgeous eye look, like any trio, right? Plus I always have to have a white color anyway, but I can pick any trio and just, that's it. A light color for the kind of to blow out the transition, a slightly darker color to like, you know, create some shape and definition, and then a pretty shiny color on the lid. But I also sort of group them into sixes, so I can mix and match anything in this group, anything in this group, anything in this group. The round pans are by Sydney Grace, and Sydney Grace eyeshadows are hands down the absolutely most spectacular, really vivid metallics and foils. They're out of this world. For 3 Fat Readers, I was wearing, I think, this trio here with this gorgeous coppery color. But oh my gosh, all of these, like I really love this shade. I'm going to regret putting this on my finger, but this is like a mauvey shade by Sydney Grace. And let me just show you. It's so freaking beautiful. Look at that. Like that is just, it's effortless and it's so shiny and pretty and reflective and gorgeous, and they blend really nicely. Her mattes are really, Sydney Grace's mattes are also really great, but I just freaking love that. And now I can show you the next thing because it'll make sense. So I also got, not long ago, a few months ago, I can't remember if I've already talked about this, I got a single of Sephora eyeshadow, and I'm not a big fan of Sephora's name brand stuff usually, like their in-house brand, But I got a recommendation for this from somebody on YouTube. I can't remember. This is a glitter, and the shade name is Twinkle Twinkle, and this works really well as like a mostly translucent shimmery topper, which I love using. So let me put it over top of, I'll put it by itself, and then I'll also put it over top of that Sydney Gray shade so you can see what I mean. It's a really finely milled, soft, really transparent, but very, very twinkly. There it is just on my hand, so it's very clear. It works really great as a topper, and then I'll also put it over the Sydney Gray shade so you can see what it does. It's just, oh, it's so pretty. So this is the one that I reached for. Oh my God, it made it even more like just wet and shiny looking. So if you like that sort of wet look, these are, oh, it's really pretty. The neat thing about these Sephora singles is that they're in these really nice little individual compacts when you order just one. Obviously, I don't know if they all come like this, but then you can actually open up, I don't know if I can do it on camera, let's see. You can open up the bottom. Yeah, there you go. And so you can swap out this pan with any shade you want, but it all goes together really nicely. But whenever I want just a quick shiny topper, that's what I use. It's really pretty. So Twinkle Twinkle, love that. And the last beauty related thing is just a quick update on some of my BePal perfume oils. This one, Lilac Wood, this is like the one that I reach for when I'm working on anything related to my tarot deck. It smells like I imagine this environment that Mystic the Unicorn ends up in, which I haven't shared yet, but she ends up in a lilac grove, literally. So this Lilac Wood, it smells like pure lilac. It is so pretty and soft and feminine and floral. This is from their last unicorn collection, which of course I have like basically everything, except for the clone-y scents. But I love this. It's so, so pretty. And I've been wearing it a lot because of working on the tarot deck. And then generally, I think this is probably, if I had to pick like one favorite scent from the collection, it might have to be the Butterfly. Oh my gosh, it's so, hello, can we focus please? Hello, there we go. I don't know how to describe this. It smells, if you can imagine what golden light smells like, that is what this smells like. And I also get all these like little glass wand applicators for their scents because they're really strong and I like being able to just like dab it on my wrist or whatever. Love this one. And then lastly, I've been enjoying the heck out of this is like one of their flagship, I think, scents. It's called Snake Oil. Oh my God, this smells so good. It's kind of dark colored. Like you can tell even on the wand, it's like yellowy. I'll even put some on my skin and you can see it's kind of yellowy. Oh my God. This would be a really nice unisex smell. I don't even know how to, it smells like witchy shops and like, it's kind of musky and kind of like incensey, kind of. Oh my God, I love it so much. Anyway, that's Snake Oil. It's really good. And I feel like it would smell good on, again, unisex would smell good on anybody. That's it for makeup-y stuff. So I will definitely put timestamps because I feel like I babbled for a long time this time. So I'll definitely put timestamps so you can skip, you know. I mean, I guess if you are hearing this now, it's too late and you forgot or you didn't know. You could have skipped. But anyways, I'll have timestamps. Okay, I have a few random things to talk about, and then we'll talk about books and decks because I have a lot to say about both of those categories. I'd have to say if I pick one random thing that I am obsessed with right now, it is this. So I have to be very careful how I show this to you, but it's a little holder. It's got a tea light holder on the bottom. On the top, hopefully you can see, let's zoom you in. I've got some loose incense in it right now, but it's got this like mesh thing here. It's actually sort of sold as a resin burner. Some of you guys may remember, because I've talked about it, in fact, I've got some on the go right now, how I like to use these oil burner, let me just zoom you out again. I like to use these oil burner type things to put loose incense in, but they're if the height of the candle is too far away from the bowl, then while you'll get some fragrance, it's very, very, very mild. But I really like using something like this for loose incense because I don't like a lot of smoke in the house, so charcoal just does not work. It's really hard on Peggy, and I don't really like it all that much either. It feels witchy AF to use charcoal because it's so smoky and ethereal and like awesome. Aesthetically, it's wonderful, but like actually breathing, not so much. So I like doing something milder. So I've been doing solutions like this for a while, but it's hit or miss with how well it works. It works better for me than charcoal, but sometimes, like I said, it's just a little too mild. And these dishes can be difficult to clean if resins melt into them. I've gotten them clean. It hasn't been a huge issue, but like it can be a pain. So you can make little foil liners and there's hacks, but it's a hassle, right? Anyway, so when I saw this at my local metaphysical store, I about lost my mind because I was like, this looks like it could work really well. And the little screen that's in here just pops right out. I'm going to be very careful just to show you it moves, And I was like, well, if it does resins, I bet you I can put some other loose incense in there. And then it's got this little screw, so you can basically adjust the height of the pan there. I know you're kind of top down, so it's harder to see, but you can adjust how close it is to the flame. So if you're finding that your fragrance is too mild, you can bring it down a little lower and the pan gets much hotter. If you find you need your fragrance to be a little lighter, you bring it up a little higher. Now I will say that everything here is made out of this brass material. So it gets very, very hot. And also it's kind of wobbly, right? Like I keep trying to tighten let's see if I keep trying to tighten this, bottoms. There's a ball on the bottom, so you can actually take this whole bar out. I feel like mine just keeps loosening, so I keep tightening at the bottom so that it doesn't feel it's wobbly. Like it's not perfect, okay? So it does bug me that it's like sits kind of crooked. Like I wish I could make it sit straight up, and for whatever reason, I just can't, so mine tips. So there's that. But, oh my gosh, so let me just show you. Well, first of all, I'll show you too what happens. So with some of the softer resins, they will literally melt on this pan and drip down to the candle below. So that's something to be aware of. But the way that this sort of bowl that everything's in sort of tapers down, it always goes right into the candle, which has not been a huge issue for me. And then also you will get some little herbs and bits that also kind of fall down through that mesh into your candle. Again, this hasn't been an issue for me, but I would say definitely don't leave this thing unattended because I could see that being an issue. So I've got some bits of resin that have actually melted into this little tea light from one type of resin that was just really soft. But you will see, so what I've got in here right now is actually a powdered loose incense that I've had for, oh my God, so many years. It's my favorite of all time. I don't even know what brand this is. I don't even know if they still exist as a company. The label wore off, so I had to put one on here. But it's a dragon's blood scented herbal mix that's been powdered and colored. And there are bits of resin in here also. But it's lovely. But you can see it's a pretty fine powder and only a very small amount. I'll just show you real quick. Only a very small amount fell into my candle. So, oh my God, it's lovely. I'm hoping that I can just set it here. Oh, let me zoom you out. I'll set it over here and you can see that it will start to sort of smoke a little bit, but not where anything sort of catches fire. Just everything, the pan gets very, very hot and it just essentially like toasts. I will say be very careful because it heats up quickly. Like even just then, I tried to adjust my screen a little bit and it had already heated up quite a bit. So yeah, really, really love this. It's low smoke. Yeah, you can see it now. It's already smoking. Can you see it on camera though? Probably not. But I can see it. So it definitely actually smokes as well as gets very, very fragrant and lovely. This would get fragrant if you're really close to it, but it wouldn't really smoke. So that's the difference for me. And I really, really love getting just a wisp, just a little tiny wisp, even less smoke than an incense stick. It is just perfection and I love it so much. So the bottom here stays cool. Everything else, including the little adjustable dial, gets very, very hot. So I've seen some on Etsy and such that have a little like wooden adjustable thing that attaches to the screw. That is something I would definitely have preferred, but I did buy this locally from a shop. So I have what I have. All right. Other random things I want to share real quick. So the tarot wrap I was using and loving. So Peggy makes these 2-pocket wraps and I love them because they open up to this gorgeous reading cloth. This is the one that I used through most of February and March. It's got this beautiful like metallic gold fern thing on it. Oh, it's so pretty. So usually I can put 2 decks side by side in here and then I take them with me and when I want to do a reading I just open it up, pull out my decks. I've got my tarot and my oracle and I can do a really nice, this really easily fits a 3-card reading of just about any size deck for me. And then if it doesn't have enough room, you can just flip the whole thing over and you have an even wider surface. You could do like 5, 6 cards, like whatever you like. I freaking love these and they often sell out pretty quickly in Peggy's shop. I will have her shop linked down below, but I believe she has quite a selection of these at the moment and they are still there ready to buy. So just as a heads up, but I always have one of these usually on the go at any given time. I also was using a lug tote to hold a bunch of different decks. That is super handy. I still like that setup, but I keep going back to this because it's just so convenient to have the reading cloth built in and everything that I continue to use these most. And then the other fun random thing I wanted to show off is Peggy made us a set of grocery bags. It's like maybe not all that exciting, but she did make a video showing how she made them. So I will link that, but I'll just show you essentially what she did. It's super simple, but they're just these washable, I keep bumping my camera, but they're just these washable bags and they have boxed corners at the bottom, which just means it opens up and it's kind of like open like a nice tote bag. But she made us a matching set. So we have 3 of this design. And then we have 3 of this yellow design. That's really cute. So these ones are a little bit lighter. I gotta watch that candle. These are a little bit lighter than the other one. The other one's a heavier canvas. So we have some heavier ones, some lighter ones. They're just cotton, so they're washable, and I'm really stoked because we've had this like hodgepodge of mixed grocery bags for so long, and every single time we go to the grocery store and we use that mix and match set of grocery bags, Peggy's like, I need to make a set. This is ridiculous. They're all different sizes and shapes. We don't know what fits in them. It's like a whole thing. So she finally did. So that's very exciting. But she's going to have a video. I think at the time you're seeing this, her video will already be up on how to make them. So I will link that down below so you can check that out. The first one, I'll just throw up a screenshot or a image of it, is Midnight Sun. This is the retelling of Twilight from Edward's perspective. I really loved the Twilight books. They're silly. They're fun. I love the movies too. I wonder if you can see this smoking yet. Can you see on camera? I can see it for real. Anyway, love that. Finally finished it. I feel like it took forever. It definitely reads much slower and more repetitively than the original Twilight. It's interesting because I'm a fan of the series to read it from his perspective, but it's kind of, Edward's a little insufferable to be in his head all the time. Like, it's always like, I'm gonna hurt her, or like, it's very hard on himself all the time. So I don't know. Would I recommend it? Maybe not. But if you're a fan of the show and you're just really curious, then it probably is worth a read. And then, of course, the other book that I'm enjoying, this is going to sound super stupid, so I apologize in advance, but I have been really enjoying rereading my own book. Like, I had some distance from it for a while when it first came out, and we're actually going through the self-worth path with my channel membership here. So Badass Unicorn tier, we're going through this, and just very slowly, and reading through sections, and then we talk about topics related to this that are, how do I say this? We have a live chat every month, and we talk about some topic that is also covered in the book. So like, you don't have to read the book to enjoy the live stream, but for those that are, it's relevant. It's like connected to what we've been reading. But I have really been getting benefit out of revisiting my own stuff, like revisiting my own lessons I've learned, revisiting, the stuff that, with self-worth work, I feel like it's easy to kind of not fall off the wagon, but like sort of just kind of stop or get a little complacent about your work on yourself. And then, so revisiting this has been really great for me to just kind of come back to that place where I can, revisit the practices and the tips that worked for me that inspired the book in the first place. So it's been really great for me personally, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. But it feels a little awkward because it's like, yeah, I'm reading my own book and kind of enjoying it. And like, how weird is that to say? But like, I guess I wouldn't have written it if I didn't if I wouldn't have enjoyed it. It's kind of like my YouTube content. Like, I make the content I also enjoy watching. So it's the same kind of thing. But it's been really good for me, I think, just healthy to check back in with self-care and with body image stuff and all that kind of thing. And just, revisit it. It's been really, really good. I have so many decks. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do top down, but I mean, I realize we're like a long time into the video and I haven't shown anything yet, but I have so many decks to talk about because we've got 2 full months of what I've been working with that I want to share. So let's just jump into it. The first pairing that I worked with, this would probably be early February, that I just got so much out of this particular pairing and really, really enjoyed it. This is the Wildwood Tarot. I had this a long time ago and I rehomed it, but the old version I had a really bad like bend or warp to it. Now this has an ever so slight bow, but I really like this cardstock. It's thicker and it's glossy, and you'll hear me say this again, because I actually filmed a video that I'm planning for later this month that I talk about this, but when I'm using decks for myself, I really enjoy glossy cardstock, and I think glossy cardstock, we kind of have skewed, I think, the market in a way, because when I'm making video content or I'm doing client readings, glossy cardstock is obnoxious. And at the risk of repeating myself, because I know I say this in another video that's coming up, I just want to say that, like, I love the way gloss makes cards pop when I'm using them for just myself, when I don't need to photograph them or show them off to other people. I really do like glossy cards. It feels like a true confession, like I really like them. So this repurchase of the Wildwood that I did, maybe even almost a year ago, I really was thrilled to get them in this way with this thicker, glossier cardstock. It just really feels lovely to work with these. So I really enjoyed working with the Wildwood. And then I paired it with, you guys, this is such an underrated deck. I don't even know where to begin. It's mass market. I mean, the cardstock isn't exciting, but it's nice. And it's such a well done deck. This is the Woodland Wardens by Jessica Rue. Oh my gosh. First of all, it's such a wonderful pairing for the Wildwood. I mean, you can see, It works so well. It feels like it's set in the same kind of world, if that makes sense. And I really, really loved this pairing, and I got so much out of just simple 1 tarot, 1 oracle card pulls, or doing the trick where I pull an oracle and then pull a tarot to like either side. It really, really, really works well for me with, oh, what am I doing here? It really works well for me with this particular combination. I really love it. And the thing that I think is so great about the Woodland Wardens is that you get the name of whatever you're seeing on the deck, and you actually get an animal and an herb or plant, and I love that combination. So you get like the elk and ash, and both of those are described as to how they apply to the keyword on the card. So here we have elk and ash, and the keyword is strength. And then if I go look up this card number, which is card number 8, ironically, strength is the same number as it would be in the major arcana. Isn't that interesting? And I think that actually lines up in more than just this card. But anyway, so then when you go to strength, you'll actually hear how the two relate. So it says elk are colossal creatures crowned with substantial antlers, known to cover great distances over difficult terrain. They are symbols of strength and endurance. Likewise, ash trees are sturdy and resolute, able to flourish even in harsh environments. And not only that, you get an upright and a reverse meaning, and then you get a couple of journal prompts, or what I like to do is use these as jumping off points for the spread. So for example, let's say I've pulled the elk and the ash. The first prompt is, am I prepared for upcoming challenges? And I would draw a tarot card for that question. And then the next one would be, how does inner strength differ from outer strength, and what situations call for each? And I'd pull another card, right? And I would use these like to form a spread. I love when oracle decks do things like this because it really just makes combining oracle and tarot so much easier and so much more fulfilling. But also, I just really love this oracle deck. It's just really, really, really good. So it's like, I feel like in my oracle deck collection, I want a good animal deck, and I've got a couple of those. I want a good herby deck, and I've recently got one of those. I'll be talking about that later. And then this combines the two, and I love that so much. And that sort of animal and plant energy, that sort of whole natural world energy, just lines up so well with a deck like the Wildwood. I loved working with these two together. I got so much out of it. And I felt like I got really deep, meaningful readings. Sometimes when I pull cards, I feel like the deck's giving me like kind of shallow, quick sort of readings. I don't know how to describe that, but maybe you'll know what I mean. But with the Woodland Wardens and the Wildwood, I was getting like really impactful, like deep readings, which I was really in the mood for in February. So that worked out really, really well for me. The next combo that I played with in February that I really, really enjoyed is this one. And so I had the Tarot of Mystical Moments, which this is a longtime fave. It's been a fave ever since I got it in. I freaking love this deck. It's such a wonderful, intuitive deck. I don't really use the guidebook much, to be honest. But again, glossy, shiny, but so pretty. Gilded even. I really love it. I gotta say, I love it. It's so beautiful. That's what the backs look like. I don't like the oracle that goes with this tarot, that Oracle of Mystical Moments. I had it and I rehomed it. But I really enjoyed working with this. And then what I was doing is using this deck in the center. And then I was pulling cards. So I use these decks in any number of ways. So this is the Paulo Barbieri Unicorns and the Paulo Barbieri Star Dragons. So I've used these in multiple ways. I like combining them so that I can just get what I get, right? I either get a unicorn or I get a dragon to either side. And this worked really well with the Mystical Moments, I think, because they both feel kind of dreamlike, right? But I will say the energy of the Paulo Barbieri unicorns versus the dragons is very different. So I feel like the unicorns provide this kind of soft, supportive message, and the dragons are there to like kick your butt, right? Like that's how the messages are even worded. And that's been really interesting. So when I actually divide the decks into their separate piles, so that's the unicorn one and that's the dragon. When I divide them up, so I get a unicorn on one side, you'll get something like not a horse, direction, and it'll have this supportive message in the guidebook around direction. And then I pull a dragon for the other side, and you'll have harmonious in action. And then when you go to the guidebooks, let me just show you the difference. So in the unicorns, if I go to card 7, not a horse, let me find the English here. you'll get a transformation message, a meditation, an affirmation, and an action. And it feels very supportive, self-care oriented. So it will literally say, like, imagine a fork in the road before you. As you gaze down the path of possibilities, perhaps uncertain and daunted, take comfort, you're not alone. That's the meditation. It goes on from there. And then the affirmation is, my path is clear and my goals are certain. My direction or my purpose is clear. And then there's advice or action, like take a hike, take a walk, you know. So it feels very self-care supportive. And then when I go over here to Tranquility, which is in the Dragon deck, I go to card 15. And here you get a Star Dragon Invocation, a Wisdom of the Dragon, and a Wisdom of the Herald. So let's just go to Wisdom of the Dragon. Peace and tranquility are yours if you want them. Earn your sense of wellness and harmony by actively engaging in the practice of stillness. Take your time. A solid foundation within and a quiet temperament are invaluable for you right now. Seek ease, healing, peace, and wisdom. Peace be with you. And then the Star Dragon Invocation is, now is not the time for action, but inaction. Achieve your harmony by staying still in a world that otherwise rushes consistently. Break away from the fray to engage in harmonious inactivity. Find peace and tranquility. The world can wait while you restore your faculties. Find peace. So that's maybe a poor example, but they tend to be a lot more blunt in the Dragon deck and a lot more sort of supportive and lift you up in the unicorns. But I've enjoyed using them both sort of shuffled together and separated into their separate piles. But I keep these together in a bag so that I can work with them either way that I want to work with them. I will say they're not exactly perfectly, they're the same size, but there's a tiny, tiny margin of difference between the two from when they were printed. So while they do, oh, I'm going to be a liar. Look how well they mix. Sometimes they kind of clump a little because the sizes of the decks are just like literally maybe a micron or two different. Sometimes they clump a little. But otherwise, their tones are very similar in the backs. So they shuffle really nicely and they look cohesive together. So I really enjoy mixing these. I wanted this set specifically because I feel like I've got unicorn energy and Peggy has dragon energy. So when I pull from here, I kind of feel like I'm pulling a card for something like that I would tell myself for advice and then something like Peggy would tell me for advice. So it feels very much like I can get into our kind of couple energy with this. I can also separate it into its individual piles and pull like a card for me, a card for Peggy, or vice versa, right? So I really like that. It's super fun. So that is the Paulo Barbieri Unicorns and Star Dragons. And I just keep them in this divided Peggy bag. So I can keep the book separate or keep the deck separate depending on how I want to store it at any given time. So really enjoyed that. And working with it beside, I didn't really show a lot of pairing stuff here, but working with it beside the Tarot of Mystical Moments just ended up working really, really well because I feel like unicorns and dragons kind of need to be connected to a more fantasy style environment so it's not too jarring. So I didn't want to put them with anything too modern, but yeah, really, really cool. So really enjoyed that pairing. And I love this tarot regardless. So that is my Tarot of Mystical Moments. I also want to do a quick shout out to the Tao Oracle because I worked with this for the first almost 3 months of the year. So I followed along with a few friends. We did I almost said an I Ching study where we worked through this deck, through whatever Oracle decks that we had that were I Ching related, but we worked through a hexagram a day. Starting from the beginning of January until we had gone through all 64 cards of the I Ching, hexagrams of the I Ching. I got really into it in the beginning and then I kind of petered off near the end. And seeing all the different I Ching oracles that people were using made me want all of them. But by the end of the study, I realized that really I just love this deck. Like, this is my I Ching deck and I love it so much. And I really like the way this deck is structured. I've had this deck forever. I've had it since sometime in the late 90s, maybe early 2000s. I'm pretty sure this made it into my 90s video, my 90s tarot collection video. But in any case, I love the way this is set up. It sort of makes the I Ching approachable, but also you can just use this straight out of the box as an oracle deck, and it's very, very balanced because it's based on an existing divination system. So by nature, it's just super, super balanced. You've got light, you've got shadow, you've got obstacles, you've got difficulties, and I've kept it in this very, very early in Peggy's Sewing Journey Peggy bag forever. Like, we picked this fabric for this deck, and I always keep a few coins in here with it. It's even got like a really cool coordinated liner. But I keep, there's one more in here, I keep a few Canadian pennies that just sort of live with this if I want to cast my own trigrams. So I keep those in there. but I love the Tao Oracle. I have a whole deep dive into this deck. It's just an incredible, incredible, incredible tool. And it's on this really gorgeous cardstock. And somebody, I think in the comments of that video, confirmed that they're still using this cardstock for this deck. It's really flexible and matte and luxurious. And like that was unheard of at the time that this deck came out. So yeah, I edged it in this like matching red color a long, long time ago. But yeah, I love it. It's held up really nicely. I use it a lot, and it works well as a standalone divination deck. So that's the Tao Oracle. Had to give it some love. Oh, sorry, buddy. My dog is sleeping next to my pile of tarot decks. I also had some fun playing with the Slavic Legends Tarot in, I believe this was late February. This is so beautiful. It was just a joy to shuffle with this deck, to read with this deck. It is the matte from Taroko Studios. But not Taroko Studios. Taroteca. Oh my God, I'm the worst. It is the matte cardstock from Taroteca Studios. And the Dark Mansion Tarot, which is their most popular one, or their first one that really came out, didn't shuffle well. It clumped up a lot. This one does not do that. It's very smooth for a slight soft touch finish cardstock. It's just beautiful. Feels really tactilely, like luxurious to touch. As soft touch finishes go, it's incredibly mild. So it like moves around really nicely. It doesn't clump. Oh, it's so lovely. Anyway, this artwork is absolutely stunning. I really enjoyed just taking this deck at face value and really just enjoying the art sinking into it. It's got this illustrative quality that's very storybook. It's very woodsy, very earthy, and I really, like, look at this hermit. He's so beautiful. I love this Six of Cups. It's really gorgeous. It reads beautifully without knowing any of the stuff. There's no guidebook. They said that they're working on a digital. It seems like it's taken them a long time, so like I'm not holding my breath. But I was sent this for review, and I just fell in love with it. It's really gorgeous, and I'm so glad I have it. And I love that the box looks like a book. Like, am I a sucker or what? And this is the bag I keep it in. So that is the Slavic Legends Tarot. Love that. In February, when I did my monthly member readings, the standout deck that I used in that is the Fyodor Pavlov Tarot. This deck has blown me away. I love it so much. The guidebook is wonderful. This is the mass market version that came out recently from US Games. I love the way this deck feels. I love the way it shuffles. It's linen. It is ever so slightly bowed. And when I first had it, it would kind of do this snapping thing where like you could like snap the deck slightly back and forth this way. It's hard to describe. Like a snap bracelet, but very mild. I still have eyeshadow on my hand. But I love it. That's completely gone away now that it's broken in a bit. I had such joy and pleasure using this during my member live stream where I do readings. And so I used it with a mix of a few other decks for, I don't know, 40 readings or something. So this probably got play at least 20 of those readings. I probably used this deck. And it reads so beautifully. It feels really gentle, but not, it doesn't like beat around the bush, but I just had such a great time reading with it. I really, really enjoyed it. So this was my standout deck that I tested during my member reading event. And of course, I also tested and really, really enjoyed reading with the Buffy the Vampire Slayer Tarot. So I did a whole bunch of Buffy content. I know some of you who are not into Buffy are probably super sick of it, but I really, really, really did have fun reading with this deck. I do wish the cardstock was nicer. I do want to edge this probably in a red color that matches that. It does shuffle in this like kind of weird floppy way that is not all that satisfying, but it's fine. It's squishy and comfy to shuffle. I think it's going to hold up okay, but yeah, I wish the shuffle was a little more satisfying. I wish Inside Editions hadn't screwed up the book so bad. That's a bummer. That's a major bummer. They are going to be fixing it, but I think it's going to be a while before we see any corrected versions coming out. So I'm happy with it, but I mean, I was very, very biased and very inclined to be happy about it when I got it. So, I want to flip it around. So I'm pleased, but I think of all of the fandom decks that Inside Editions has done so far that I've seen people do videos about, this is the one that is the least pippish. It's not pippish really at all. It's the most beautifully tied to the fandom that it's covering. It was very well thought out. There's only a couple of cards that I kind of scratched my head about, and for the most part, they just did an incredible job with the choices for each individual card. So I'm really happy with it. But yeah, it could be better. Like, there's definitely things they should have done better that they missed, but that's okay. Like, I'm still really, really enjoying it, and I'm not going to let that dampen my joy. So when I got into March, I was just going through it, you guys. March was a tough month, not gonna lie. And my tarot practice kind of like petered out. I'm gonna be making a video about that for my magical unicorns because I really want to talk about that and like how I saw myself through that. But I do want to talk about a few decks that really supported me during that time. The first deck that I found myself reaching for when I was just feeling all my feels is this one. This is always like the first one I think about when I'm just, you know, whatever. And it's the out of print Guardian Angel Tarot. My version is modified with pastel edges that I was inspired to do by Don Michelle. Took off the gilding. I just love this. This lives by my bed anytime life is a little rough. And I just pull a card at bedtime. I love the little gentle supportive messages. It makes me feel like I've had a hug or a little bit of comfort right before I go to sleep. And I love that. So I reached for this quite a bit throughout the month of March at bedtime for like a reflective pull. And that's been really, really great. And then when it came to like my daily draws, which were not even a little bit daily, by the way, in March, but for the first half of the month, I just used this deck. This is the Flow Tarot, and I just feel like this did such a good job of being what I imagined it would be as a water-themed deck. It was sort of supportive and soft and nurturing, mothery, I guess, if I was going to personify it. It's a photographic deck that's all based on water. All the suits are water, but they have different types of water. So we have waves for wands, ponds for pentacles, we have snow for swords, and we have clouds for cups. And the pulls that I got from this deck and the way that the guidebook is done just really helped me feel, again, kind of supportive. They gave me things to focus on without being too much for me to take in. It didn't feel overwhelming or too analytical. It just felt like I could be in my feels a little bit. And that's what I needed in the beginning of March. So this worked really, really well for that. The guidebook entries are literally written so that at the end of every card description, you get like a little affirmation, which was really helpful, actually. I honor my changes. I surrender to the flow. I open myself to clarity. Just really helpful, supportive messages that it hit the spot, okay? And it really, really worked well for me. And after this deck in March, I moved into, and I didn't do pairings. I just really needed just clear focal, you know. And I started working with, I actually bought this. I went to my local metaphysical store and I saw this on the shelf and I was like, you're coming home with me. I need you right now. And I have poo-pooed this deck. I mean, full disclosure, yo, I have poo-pooed this deck a lot over the years, okay? Because it takes tarot and it literally makes it as gentle and like positive and nice as possible. And like, I had feelings about that when I first encountered this deck. But let me tell you, I've always really loved Jenna De La Grottaglia's artwork, and that is what is featured throughout this deck. I've also kind of always loved just the look of the cards, but they don't feel like, to me, they always visually represent the way that I usually read tarot, and I think these are all the things that I used to kind of poo-poo this deck. However, I sat there in that metaphysical shop, you know, with the smell of the incense and the sound of the music they were playing, and I was flipping through this, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful, and it feels so loving and gentle. I would not, I don't think, reach for this to use like I would use a traditional tarot deck. I feel as though this works best like an oracle. And the funny thing is that I was reading the guidebook, and that's pretty much what Colette says in the guidebook, is basically this deck works best for like single card pulls, like maybe don't try to do these like big expansive readings with it. And she was right. And the guidebook entries in here are really, 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 really supportive and lovely. Like, here's the Four of Water. Actually, let's find a difficult card, because it really shines with some of the difficult cards, but it doesn't change the meaning, which I expected. I thought it was going to change the meaning. It just sort of gives you that supportive message around the meaning so that you're not like what's a card I keep getting stalked by? It's been the Three of Swords a lot in March, honestly, which has been echoing how I was feeling in March. But let me just see. Have I passed it already? I just assumed I had, because that's usually how it works for me. Let's just find the three. I realize it's silly to look first. I'm going to fast forward this bit. There it is. Okay. I realize that took forever. So the image for the Three of Air is this. So we definitely see somebody who looks like they're hurting, right? Like, we're not seeing, the meaning of the card has not been changed, but it has been sort of empowered and I don't know what the right word is for it, sort of reworked a little bit to be kind. There's a kindness to this deck. So let's go to the Three of Air. So up here it says silver linings, natural departures, and then it says rejection is God's protection. That's interesting. I've never noticed a God quote in here, but anyway, it's still an interesting idea, right? And it says a third party helps me to see the truth of this situation. What is truly mine can never be withheld from me. Rejection is spirit's protection. So she changed it there. That's very interesting. Rejection is spirit's protection. It's in my best interest to let go and allow for something better to take its place. It is my highest good to see the truth regardless of my temporary discomfort. This too shall pass. So hopefully you can see in that message, the meaning of the Three of Swords or the Three of Air has not been changed. It's still a difficult card, and it's not trying to pretend the difficulty isn't there. It's telling you how you can move through that difficulty. And this is where I really sold this deck short over the years, because I saw it a couple of times in passing, heard people talk about it, and just assumed it was kind of nice washing everything. And you could say that this is a form of nice washing, but it just softens the message and it gives you the advice you need to move through that difficult moment. And I think that's really beautiful and powerful. And so I've really been enjoying working with this deck an awful lot. And I think I might, now that I'm not using it for like sort of regular pulls in the morning, I think I'm going to actually take this and put this where my Guardian Angel Tarot was and pull this and read the guidebook message at bedtime for a while and see how I feel about that. I do think it's a wonderful deck for that kind of a purpose. And I'll test that out and maybe I'll report back again in my next show and tell to let you know how that worked out. And finally, towards the end of March, I was finally able to pull what felt like a regular tarot deck to use. And I moved into the Ethereal Visions Luna Tarot. This was exactly what I needed for transitioning back away from these super supportive decks and moving into something that was more like regular reading. You know, it still has a softness to it. And I really appreciated the softness. I appreciated the bling and the beauty of this deck to sort of bring me out of that space of sort of wallowing, you know, in whatever I was feeling and going through. And instead moving into a space where I could just really be gentle with myself, but start to sort of reset the energy. And I really, really appreciate that there are masculine presenting women in this deck a lot. There's only a couple, but it just makes my whole heart happy. So anyway, I really, really loved working with this deck. It felt, I didn't really use the guidebook. I just liked these images. I felt like they just felt slower, softer, more languid, less assertive, you know, and let me just be in the energy of reading tarot more regularly for myself towards the end of the month and just kind of finding my footing again. And I really, really appreciated working with this for that reason. But yeah, so really, really like this. I love the mask in the Tower cards so much. It's just so appropriate. And in the Seven of Cups. Masks in general are something I definitely notice in the cards when they show up, especially if they're in cards where that really, really makes sense. Obviously, if it doesn't make sense, I don't enjoy it as much, but used really well in this deck. And this deck, I love this silver hollow. It's like my favorite thing. There's something about the rainbows and the flash, and I love it so much. So, and it does look like this in person, like exactly how it's showing up on camera. It looks exactly like this in person. It's just that flashy, and I love it so much. So anyways, that really just made me happy. Really fun to use. It's a little bit kind of funky on the thumbs when you shuffle it. I don't know how else to describe that. There's some kind of like quality to the paper where sometimes it almost feels slightly uncomfortable on my thumbs when I'm shuffling. I don't know what that is. I can't describe that quality besides just to say there's maybe just a tiny bit of like rawness or stiffness to the edge. I don't know. It's hard to describe. Some decks feel smooth on the edges. This one feels just like there's just something there that I feel. It could be related to the stiffness of the cardstock, but yeah. Love this deck, the Luna edition of the Ethereal Visions Tarot. This is by Matt Hughes, and this is the mass market version by US Games. Really enjoyed using this deck. That's it, my friends. That is everything I've been using and enjoying, and just a little check-in on my incense burner so you can see what's happening. It doesn't do anything. Like, nothing's catching fire. Let me just zoom you in. Nothing's catching fire. But I have such a lovely fragrance from this incense right now. It is gorgeous. I get all the scent. There's just the tiniest wispiness of smoke that comes from it. As you can see, my tea light has fully melted underneath, so it's warm. It's doing, yeah, that pole is also warm to the touch. So everything heats up except for this base part here. as I said. But anyways, this is really lovely. I love this thing so much. I really kind of want another one that has a cooler to the touch handle, but I'm going to just use what I have and not be ridiculous about it for now. But anyways, thank you so much for hanging out. If I missed anything, I'm sorry. I'll cover it in the next one, but thank you so much. I'm sorry I didn't get one of these out last month, but as I said, I had a lot going on. So, but anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me. As always, please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you loved the most from this or what you're currently loving right now. I would love to hear about that. Thank you so much for hanging out. I always appreciate your support and your time and your energy here in this space so, so much. As always, an extra big thank you goes out to my unicorn fan members. Your guys' support it really helps more than you could possibly know. So thank you so much for the support of the channel. Thank you so much for being a part of that community with me as well. It means a lot. So thank you all so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you in the next video. In the meantime, may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye.